An examination of the Sony FE 35mm f/1.4 GM. This is a high-quality fast prime that you didn't know you needed. Although it displays some minor vignetting issues, overall image quality is excellent. And while it's a bit pricey, the Sony FE 35mm f/1.4 GM is more than good enough to be an appealing new addition to owners of A7 or A9 cameras. The past year was a great one for full-frame Sony Alpha camera owners due to the release of some seriously impressive lenses that filled some gaps in the company's lineup of full-frame FE lenses. The latest addition to the Sony Distagon FE 35mm f/1.4 GM, a new premium option that will sit above the Sony FE 35mm f/1.4 GM. A 35mm lens is a classic focal length, falling between the wide-angle 28mm and normal 50mm lens. The FE 35mm f/1.4 GM will be of particular interest to portrait, street, wedding, landscape, and astronomy photographers. But how does it perform? While the 35mm f/1.4 is not an inexpensive lens, let us not forget that it is a G Master design aimed at professionals. The lens features an aperture ring with a stepped setting for photographers with 3 stop increments, or a stepless setting for videographers, as well as a setting for controlling aperture via the camera instead. There is an internal focusing mechanism that allows the lens to remain fixed with a smooth manual focus ring. Additionally, the front element does not rotate, making it ideal for use with 67mm filters. With a G Master lens, the 35mm f/1.4 is dust and weather resistant, with seals on all buttons and rings, so photographers can remain confident even in inclement weather. The construction is a mixture of metal and plastic, as is the norm for many lenses, but that doesn't diminish the premium look or feel you'd expect from a G Master lens. With a weight of 524 grams and dimensions of 96 by 76 mm, the FE 35mm f/1.4 GM is both lighter and smaller than the Distagon FE 35mm f/1.4, which measures 112 by 78. 5 mm and weighs 630 grams. Further strengthening its premium credentials, the 35mm f/1.4 employs 2XD linear motors for quick and quiet autofocusing, which is incredibly fast and near silent. The lens certainly excels in this area. One of the elements in the lens is an SA, extremely aspherical, element, which is intended to enhance edge-to-edge sharpness, while the other is an ED, extra low dispersion, element that is intended to minimize chromatic aberration and purple fringing. As well as the nano R coating too, the lens features a fluorine coating that prevents fingerprints, dust, water and oil from adhering to the front element. Even though the latter is always a welcome feature, it is always preferable to keep any contamination away from the lens front element. The included lens hood is one method of preventing stray light from entering the lens as well. The lens does offer a minimum focus distance of 27 cm with a maximum magnification of 0.23x or 0.26x when focusing manually, which is not traditional for close-up photography. One particular feature that really stands out is the 11-blade circular aperture, which has 2 more blades than most other lenses. This allows for beautiful bokeh when shooting at f/1.4. The features are undoubtedly impressive, and everything you'd expect from a Sony G Master Prime, but with any lens it's the image quality alongside handling that will be of most interest to photographers. Prime lenses, despite the pros and cons of zoom lenses, remain superior in terms of image quality. Their fixed focal length enables them to have larger maximum apertures, and this is where they excel. Sony's FE 35mm f/1.4 GM certainly conforms to this format, and at f/1.4, the center of the frame is extremely sharp, although the outer part of the frame is slightly blurred, as is to be expected, as is the case with fast prime lenses. The convergence of the lens and the edge sharpness are both visible at f/4, and both begin to improve with increasing shutter speeds. The sweet spot, or sharpest point of the lens, is f/8, and sharpness declines with shutter speeds of f/11 and f/16 as diffraction is evident. This is not to say that f/11 and f/16 are not usable in any way, they're perfectly sharp enough, but simply aren't the sharpest points of the lens. An interesting feature of this lens is that vignetting appears to be strongest at f/1.4, which then decreases to the least degree at f/4 and f/5.6, but increases again at f/8 and above. As for chromatic aberration and fringing, the lens shows no problem, even in high contrast areas, such as trees against the sky, which is impressive. However, this is not something that you often see. It can be argued that the Sony FE 35mm f/1.4 GM is an extremely versatile lens that can be used for more photographic genres than any other focal length. It is a very good lens, but not the best. The lens is very sharp in the center of the frame at f/1.4, but it is not until f/4 where the edges become noticeably sharper. Overall sharpness peaks at the sweet spot of the lens at f/8. Diffraction commences at f/11, but the image remains exceptionally sharp despite the fact that this is not the maximum sharpness this lens is capable of. The vignetting issue is also peculiar, but it is not a deal breaker. In my opinion, the Sony FE 35mm f/1.4 is one of Sony's best offerings. It is sure to appeal to a wide range of photographers and will likely move quickly to the top of their shopping lists. At this price, it is unaffordable to most photographers. But it is in line with other Sony GM lenses, so it should come as no surprise, and the price will undoubtedly come down over time.